Welcome to McGuire on Wrestling.
Allow me to reintroduce myself.
With Mike McGuire.
Stand up, son. Let me take a good look at you.
This guy's a serious professional.
You know what I want to talk about?
Yeah.
Well, the professional wrestling. Do I have your attention now?
Done chilling. I'm done chilling, okay?
Let's get this show on the road.
I love professional wrestling.
It's been a weekend of too much wrestling, and therefore you're getting too many hosts. I'm Mike McGuire, and joining me this week for the show, our old pal, Joe Aguinaldo. How are you, dude?
Hey, man. What's going on? And yes, it was a lot of wrestling this weekend.
Well, on top of that, I had an indie shot here in southern Alberta, so I think for the last, well, let's see here. I got there at noon, so 12 hours there. For 20 hours of the last 48 hours, I've been involved or around something to do with wrestling.
Oof.
And now add 2 more for the production and distribution
yes, yeah.
show. So, yeah.
I got to tell you, you kind of got a Bronson Reed look going on right now, dude.
For those that can't see me, well, I got the hair going on. It's like post-tsunami Bronson Reed, like after the match look.
Yeah. But you got
okay.
Yeah. That's not a knock, by the way. You got this Bronson Reed thing going right now.
Oh yeah, that, and I'm gutting my office right now and stuff. I'm doing some changes and stuff. We got a new boss coming and whatever. Else. You got to clean up the place, pretend like this is how you live.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots going on, of course, in the weekend of wrestling. On Saturday, it was back-to-back or overlapping shows, almost like when you half shuffle a deck of cards, like you get the cards mixed, but you don't actually push the deck together. That's what WrestelPalooza and AEW's All Out did for, what, an hour? An hour
give or take.
Change?
Yeah, because the main event of All Out
is still going on.
Is still going on while the first match of WrestelPalooza was going on.
Yeah. No, well, so WrestelPalooza, the first hour actually contained, and it wasn't just Hangman and Fletcher, because it was the match before them that went to. But anyway, we'll get to the semantics a bit here. Yeah. But safe to say, it was a lot of wrestling from the 2 big shows in North America. Like I said, I had an indie show. Got to hang out with Al Snow. That conversation is coming to the podcast soon, and some other cool stuff happening. But man, when there's this much wrestling to talk about, I figured I need to bring in a co-host. So thank you, Joe, for making the time.
No worries. Although, it was a lot to sit through this stuff.
It was a lot to sit through, and we got to lay all cards on the table here. One of us sat through a lot more of it than the other did, and this is kind of a good thing to talk about again, though, because we had you on last time. We were talking about this. What was jumping out to you the most, and what was something you had to see right away versus you waited to watch the rest later?
So, admittedly, I was very curious, and this is in no particular order, but I was really curious about Cena versus Lesnar on WrestlePalooza. I was actually looking forward to Cope and Cage versus FTR, and I got to tell you, the Cope doing the tribute, the homage to one Mr. John Cena. That was worth it alone. I thought that was amazing.
The best part about that, everybody in the building was on board.
Big time. Yeah, that was awesome.
Spaces out his hand, and then all of a sudden, 16,000, how many were there? You can't see me at an AEW show.
It was awesome, though. That was great, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? I did, I was looking forward to the for All Out, the women's 4-way match with Statlander, Tony Storm, and Jamie Hayter, and as a Statlander fan, I was really happy that she won that match. I thought that was great.
I agree 100% with you there, although I must say the least fanfare of an entrance, talk about coming out to I'm not winning this match entrance. You know what I mean? Just regular stat, just boop, 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 boop down the aisle. You know?
Yeah. Well, and here's the problem. It's not so I had I actually had I had a family thing on Saturday afternoon, so I actually didn't get home till about 4 or 5, around 5 o'clock. So I missed the first 2 hours of All Out. And even then, it was just still a lot of wrestling. It was insane.
It was just
amounts.
getting started.
Yeah. And then like I'll admit, like I kind of had the I had Cena Lesnar and the main event of All Out kind of going on at the same time. And then after, I'll be again being 100% honest. After Cena Lesnar, I just kind of said, okay, I've had enough, and I just turned everything off. It was just so much going on, and my gas tank for wrestling is not what it used to be. So,
oh my God,
I was pretty much done after that.
So I get home from the show around 11:30 last night, and decide, okay, I'm going to start watching everything now. I had pre-ordered the pay-per-view, so I had it on demand or whatever sort of gimmick. And then I had the Netflix, obviously, for WrestelPalooza.
Yeah.
So I figure I'll start early and I'll start easy with WrestelPalooza because I knew Cena and Lesnar was going to be the first match. So I was like, at least if I can bang that out before I fall asleep, perfect, which is what I did.
Well, it didn't take that long.
Well, here's the other thing, though. Okay. How sweet was John Cena's entrance? 6,000 kids walk him out to the ring.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then they watch this man get destroyed. You remember when we were talking about the John Cena Break-A-Wish? This is what happened. Here's your hero. By the way, it's the Death of Superman edition.
Yeah, again, shades of what was it, SummerSlam 2016 or whatever that match was when Lesnar basically suplex city'd the crap out of John Cena, but this was pretty much the same match.
Except for one thing, and that is that John came out of this one looking rough.
Yes, very rough.
Something about this Cena farewell tour, especially since the face turn or the return to face, whatever you want to call it, since the glitch stopped.
Right.
Is that Cena seems to me, at least, to be more physical now. And it's probably because he's not doing as many in a row as often and not having a tour and everything. But he's really laying stuff in and letting stuff be laid in, if that makes any sense.
Oh, yeah. Just even the moves that he's doing, when did you ever think you'd ever see Cena do a Canadian destroyer? You know what I mean?
Didn't see it on Saturday.
No, he was too busy getting thrown around. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's just it, right? And all the tribute moves and everything. But
yeah,
there was just something I noticed after he got pinned, he had a big gash on his arm, not a huge slice or anything, but his arm was pretty beat up. And then he got up towards the aisle, and you see his back's all banged up, and I think he had a mark on his face and just everything. It was just unreal. So I think they did the right move. I think that was probably their strongest draw first. Nothing against any of the other matches, but let's face it, they're still two giant superstars. ACT guys, they did that, star megastar thing. I brought it up last week too. Those are two mega stars. They transcend wrestling. So why wouldn't
for sure? Yeah. No, 100%.
But they can still go too. That's the thing. So they put on a great show. The rest of the card, some people in the Yay-Boo we'll get to in a minute here saying that it was a lot like a Saturday night's main event or something like that. I'm actually not going to poo-poo that idea. It kind of felt a lot like that in a lot of ways. I mean, Cody versus Drew. Yeah, Drew put Cody out, but we didn't really see a ton of intensity between those two until they got going.
I think the problem too is that they really hyped up the fact that this was going to be an event, and again, I'm not going to say it was bad, but at the same time, it was not this was not a must-see thing.
Well, hold on though. Okay. First of all, you had Punk and AJ against Becky and Seth, which I like to call the Rollinches. But the real surprise in this story, the surprise that Triple H alluded to, nobody saw coming. And here we are. Oh my gosh, the headline news. The Undertaker made a surprise appearance to announce that Stephanie McMahon was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, which she looked pissed about. A lot of people have some very nice things to say about Stephanie. I don't know. I've never met the lady nor worked for her, but I mean, if you're going to say that publicly on record, then why wouldn't it be true, right? So a lot of people are saying this deserves to be a thing, everything else, but she looked like begrudgingly accepting of it, like, fine, but you're all in trouble. She kept saying it over and over again. You're all in trouble. And so I was like, okay, all right. But she is now officially, besides Vince McMahon Sr., the first McMahon to go into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Does that pave a way for Shane? Does that pave a way for Vince?
Oh, I mean, if Stephanie goes in, I think you got to put Vince in there, or not Vince, Shane, and then okay, again, court cases, all allegations out the window. How do you not put Vince in this thing? I mean, like, he was the WWE, like he put it where it is right now, or at least had a very big hand in it. Again, all of that other stuff aside, I'm not at all ignoring that, but if you do take that out, I mean, Vince is deserving of being in the WWE Hall of Fame.
The only two caveats I can see is, one, he always said he didn't want to be in.
Yeah, no, fair.
Two, if he somehow implied through a legal document that he was never to be inducted. You know what I mean? But
right.
It's a public company. I'm sure you could look that up if you wanted to. You're listening to McGuire on Wrestling, by the way, if you're just tuning in. Joe Aguinaldo joining me here. And we are not doing a 5 count this week because all the news that was talked about has basically happened or was going to happen. And we've got too much other stuff to talk about. But back to the whole Vince McMahon thing in the Hall of Fame. They did have old Vince, like young Vince, as a part of the ESPN opening for WrestelPalooza. I mean, you could not have him there when they were showing the synergy between the launches of the World Wrestling Federation and ESPN at the time.
Yeah.
Even though they were kind of years apart. But they were, using all that. So do I see Vince eventually getting in there somehow by hook or by crook? Probably, but I doubt anytime soon, and I doubt maybe even while he's alive. I don't know. Yeah,
you know what? I tend to agree with that. Like, I mean, again, right now there's a lot of heat still. Yeah. But yeah, like I eventually, I think down the road, it's going to happen.
Okay, so we're going to continue with the show here. And normally after every PLE or pay-per-view, we do a segment called Yay Boo, where we get your feedback on the big event of the weekend. Since there were two basically at the same time, though, we're going to push Yay Boo back a little bit to give your feedback and talk a little bit now about All Out. Now, you said, Joe, that you had you had the main event going on while the first match of WrestlePalooza was going on. So you had Hangman and Kyle Fletcher while John Cena and Brock Lesnar were happening.
Yes.
Which I think explains exactly why they did what they did. No offense to Hangman and Fletcher, but again, you can't hang a candle name recognition-wise between the two. You know what I mean? Like, you can't...
No. Like Hangman versus Fletcher was a fine wrestling match. I got nothing against it.
Absolutely.
But the minute Brock came on, it was like, all right, guys, I'll catch you guys later. Let me watch this match right here. Because again, that's the story, right?
And I'm not saying that to tick off AEW fans.
No, not at all.
Or anything, but
not at all.
Like, honestly, guys, I don't care how much of a WWE hater you are or an AEW loyalist you are. You can't win an argument saying that Hangman Adam Page and Kyle Fletcher are more famous than John Cena.
No. And again, much love and respect to Page and Fletcher. And again,
exactly.
it was a very fine wrestling match from what I saw.
If I'm Hangman and Fletcher, I'm complimented by the fact that WWE put that against me.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
But that said, like Cena Lesnar was, like, at least for me anyways, was one of the matches I wanted to see.
Yeah. So we get to that part of the show, and we'll get to the feedback from the fans again here in a minute here. But overall, I mean, a solid match, great effort by both. By the time I got to it, though, after watching everything else, I was tired. I was really tired. And I say that watching it in the morning. Like, I watched it the morning after.
See, here's the problem that AEW has. And, like, again, I've been... you've known me for a while. I've been one of AEW's biggest supporters since they started. This thing started at 3:00 in the afternoon. I was tired after watching this, till 8 or 8 and change or whatever it was. It's like, I shouldn't be tired at 8:00 in the evening on a Saturday. You know what I mean? Like,
now, fans that were in attendance in Toronto, there's a few that commented there as well saying that it didn't feel like a 5-hour show.
Yeah,
Good.
fair.
That's
Fair.
the way it should be when you're at a show like that, even if it is 5 hours. Prime example, though, okay? Our show, and it is an indie show, but we were in the arena, and one of our bigger crowds, and we had special guests with Al Snow and everything else, but the indie show I was at, hard out at 3 hours. Hard out.
Great. Yeah, that's awesome.
And even our show felt a little long to me in some spots. So I realize it's apples and oranges here when you're comparing indie to what's on TV and everything else. But to me, it still felt like I couldn't imagine doubling this and sitting through it in an arena. You know what I mean? Well, so as long as the crowd there was happy, great. But as a viewing person on TV, I still don't like the fact that I'm feeling tired after all this stuff.
No, 100%. And like, okay, so I'll liken it to a sporting event, like a football game or a basketball game or, soccer, whatever, hockey. Like I for a sporting event, which, let's face it, this is what this is. Mm-hmm. I think, 3.5 hours, you're good. Anything beyond that, man, like I don't care what sport it is. Anything beyond that, that's a chore now to watch. And I don't have the time for that. Right.
There's 100,000 podcasts out there that are all giving you the review and shakedown and the results. And there's a good chance you already know those. So we're not going to go match by match on this show with AEW. But one thing that was funny on Saturday, as I was uploading their show and then listened to it right afterwards, Mitch and Dimitri said on the ACT is that Mark Briscoe and MJF should be the top program on AEW television right now. I agree 100%. I was not a crazy fan about tables and thumbtacks.
No.
In fact, it numbed me to thumbtacks. Like, you watch the thumbtack spots now, and it's like after they've slammed each other in them 20 times, it's like, eh.
See, but the cool thing about Briscoe and MJF is if you kind of just look at it at a high level, it's like, wondering about that. Because, MJF usually is at the top of the card. Briscoe's kind of in the middle. But for whatever reason, this is working. For whatever reason, it's working, and I like it.
Well, and Mitch Hanzia said this on the ACT, and I agree with him, and I've heard others say it. As callous and cold as this sounds, the time to have put Mark Briscoe into the star chair was after Jay passed.
Right.
It was the time, and different relationship, different circumstances. But if you look back, when did Rey Mysterio become main event Rey Mysterio? After Eddie passed.
Yep.
They put him in that slot and he ran with it, right? I'm not saying capitalize off death, and if he didn't want to do it, that's fine. But if there was ever a time to do it, it would have been at least a year ago, if not longer.
Right.
So Mark Briscoe now being elevated, now in a spot, I feel if anything, that match may have still happened too soon for this feud. Like this tables and thumbtacks.
Yeah, like this felt like a blow-off match. Like
huge.
Because this still has some legs to it. I think you could have had like even just a standard wrestling match with these two, and it would have worked, and you could have built up to something maybe later on down the line.
So I don't know where they go from here. I mean, maybe if they let it rest and it disappears for a year or two, they can come back, and I don't know what they do next.
maybe a decapitation match. I don't know.
Bullet dodging match. Yeah,
exactly. No. Sorry,
we're actually endorsing either of those.
Yeah. So sorry, that's Mox and Darby Allin. That's
oh god. Okay. So I want to take you now to a clip from the AEW media call that happened this past weekend. I was on it.
Okay.
And I got second in line, so I didn't get to ask because I didn't want to. I've done enough of these now. If you hit Tony Khan with too heavy of a question, like right out of the gate, and it's not something that, sounds like it could have a good answer, he's not going to touch it, or he's going to deke around it. And he still kind of deked around my question. But I had asked him about certain wrestlers in his company and other people now saying that AEW might be the family alternative to take your family to a wrestling show because the prices are more affordable. And if you listen closely in the question, I ask him if there's any plans on looking at the show as a whole and making changes. I.e., in my head, what I'm thinking is maybe we don't have guys digging forks into each other's head. Here's what happened.
Some of your wrestlers have been saying that this might be an opportunity for fans who may be feeling priced out of wrestling to discover an AEW and, you know, maybe even bring their family sort of thing. Now, AEW has always been an alternative. So I guess the question is do you see right now with the turnout you're getting in Toronto for All Out and maybe other opportunities internationally even as an opportunity to expand that family base and make the product appeal to that audience who may feel like they're getting a little priced out right now?
Well, absolutely. AEW's ticket pricing is designed to be very family friendly, and it has been that way from the very beginning. Everybody who's been involved in AEW from the start will tell you that we've always wanted to maintain affordable ticket pricing for the fans, and particularly to bring families and young fans to the show and make it accessible for fans of all backgrounds, of all ages. And I think it's really exciting for us that we're getting some good feedback about that. And absolutely, we're so thrilled to be coming to Toronto Scotiabank Arena this Saturday afternoon for AEW All Out. It's a major show for us for many reasons, including being the first pay-per-view ever for us on HBO Max, and it being very important for AEW to deliver a great show on this massive stage with this huge opportunity that Warner Brothers has given us. I think it's really important to be very, very mindful that this is a huge show for AEW for many reasons, for our fans, and our fans have been stepping forward for us in so many ways. The fans last night at September to Remember on Wednesday Night Dynamite were just absolutely fantastic. And then to have so many great fans, such a great turnout, such a huge attendance, the most attended AEW All Out pay-per-view of all time. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is the 7th AEW All Out, and it's going to be the most tickets we've ever sold. And it speaks to the great fans in Toronto, and hopefully it speaks to what we're doing with trying to maintain affordable ticket pricing for AEW shows for families, because we are a family-friendly company when it comes to trying to price the tickets to get families into the AEW shows, including All Out.
That was Tony Khan answering my question from the AEW media call about affordability only. and apparently a family-friendly show in Tony Khan's mind means affordable for the family. And that's fine. That's his take on it. That's fine. But in your mind, Joe, based on all this stuff we've been hearing going on and seeing Darby Allin and Jon Moxley taking forks to each other again, orifices being stretched with them. I mean, ear holes, I should say, just so people want to. Jesus. But with all this going on, do you think AEW has an opportunity here to actually tone down their programming, and would they do it if it meant more families would buy tickets?
I think, yes, they should do it. Look, again, the wrestling's always been kind of a smorgasbord for everybody, right? But I think there is an opportunity here where they could tone some things down for the younger audience. Right. Like, remember how much Orange Cassidy was a thing? You know, a lot of older fans didn't like him, but the younger fans loved him.
Well, he's coming back now. He's coming back.
No, but this is good. This is the kind of stuff that they need to start doing a bit more. And then, the affordability thing, I think, like, that's a big thing as well, because again, you and I have talked about this, like, look, Elimination Chamber recently, right? That's like, I wasn't going to pay $200 for 500 level seats. Like, no, that's not happening, right? So I do think AEW has an opportunity, both with the money aspect, but more importantly, to get maybe a friendlier, quote unquote, product out there, or at least some friendlier, some say kid friendlier, younger audience friendlier content on there. I think that's an opportunity that they should maybe look at and take advantage of, because again, wrestling traditionally, throughout history has been a very family oriented thing. And, with TKO taking the stance of, we're just going to price everything higher and higher and higher. Hey man, that's their business. If they can do it, go for it. but they are going to alienate a specific audience if they continue doing that.
And again, we're not here to be the parental police either. What you choose to take your kids to see, that's your business and that's your decision. But I do remember, especially remember like the, I don't know, 05, 06, that era, WWE, like Raw was kind of the more adult-oriented show with more of the silly angles, and then SmackDown was more the pure wrestling stuff, right?
Yep.
You know, maybe AEW could cater towards that, but the thing is that even on Collision, which is a show that, I mean, the viewership doesn't even compare to any other show on TV. Like, they're not even close. But they still kind of lean towards the same stuff they do on Dynamite. They just focus more on the wrestling a little bit.
Yeah.
Can they do anything to get do you make that the Orange Cassidy show? Do you make that, or somebody like even Chris Statlander could fit in that group? You know, like the Mark Briscoes of the world without the thumbtacks could fit in there.
Like they kind of did that, I think, with like Rampage before. Or like I remember there was enough of a difference between so Dynamite was kind of your Raw, right? And then Collision or Rampage was like, your SmackDown, where you had maybe a bit more wrestling, or you have the character work. But I think there's an opportunity here to do that. Granted, AEW needs to really work on their storylines, because I still think that's a bit of a thing. It's kind of hit or miss there. But again, coming back to your original question, I think AEW does have an opportunity if they want to capitalize on it, but they really got to start sort of figuring out their creative and figuring out, do we keep Mox and Darby over here and only once every couple weeks? You know what I mean? Because to have those guys,
it's time for our bi-weekly bloodletting.
Well, and that's the thing, because now it's become you see them all the time and they're just doing the same sort of foolishness over and over again. And it's like, okay, we get it. You stuck a fork in the guy's ear and you poked him with a fork in the forehead and you threw him in a coffin and you threw a plastic bag on his face. It's like, again, where do we go? Like a decapitation match? Is that what's next? Right?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is not great. Not great.
No.
And I understand if you're a fan of the Extreme, that's fine. But I guess that's where they would have another option. What if they kept that off TV altogether and it was just a pay-per-view thing? It's like, okay, you know what? This is the time where you put the kids to bed because this match is happening next.
Yeah, and something like that is like that to me makes sense, and it sort of adds a bit more gravitas to it. So now you're not seeing the fork spot every week; you're only seeing it in special events, right? So.
Yeah. Well, the next one will be Wrestle Dream for AEW. This is McGuire on Wrestling. Joe Aguinaldo joining me this week. Coming up, we get your feedback on the two big shows that happened this past weekend. WWE's WrestelPalooza and AEW All Out with another edition of Yay Boo. Hang on.
This is McGuire on Wrestling.
The alternate commentary table, ACT, brought to you by the Celebrate Wrestling podcast feed. Listen, it's Mitch, it's Dimitri. We got this little pod thing that we do every single week where we talk about the week in wrestling and the way in which we do it from the other side of the railing. Right, Mitch?
I like that.
We're coming at it because we love it. We hate it. The alternate commentary table, ACT. Download it anywhere where you're getting your podcasts.
Shasha.
Yay boo, it's lots of fun to do. If you like it, holla yay. If you don't, you holla boo.
This is McGuire on Wrestling.
That is Joe Aguinaldo's third favorite song related to this show, the old Yay Boo. Welcome back to the show. And we are about to Yay Boo on WrestelPalooza, AEW All Out, or both. Thanks to your contributions on the Celebrate Wrestling Facebook page. I didn't do the usual website plug this week and all that stuff. CelebrateWrestling.com if you want to support the show. Thanks. All right. Let's get down to business here. Joe, we threw up a dual post for All Out as well as WrestelPalooza, and you could choose to offer feedback on both or either. And we got a lot of interesting comments here. We start off with Douglas Grandy, who says, can't comment on All Out as I didn't watch it. For WrestelPalooza, though, I'll give it a boo. Not a terrible show other than the opening match, but nothing really stood out for me. Apparently not a Stephanie McMahon fan.
Oh. You stop that.
Good for her. I'm happy for her.
Yeah, I'm not going to take a shot at her.
No. Is Rick Rude in that thing yet?
Oh, God.
Remember Randy Savage just had to die to get into it? Anyway. Sal Greco offered a bunch of feedback here on matches and whatnot. So I'm going to say yay for the opening match at All Out. Edge. Okay, I do have to say this. Yay for the opening of All Out with Edge and Christian and Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys, who then does an immediate cutscene to the Green Bastard, and Wendell Clark, Toronto Maple Leafs great, all in this thing. What a schmoz of Canadiana. I wonder if Wendell took him to his restaurant. Are Wendell Clark's restaurants still a thing?
The
one that was near me
so.
closed. Anyway. So, I mean, that was great. Anyway, he says, yay for the opening match and Beth debut. Oh, yeah, Beth Phoenix made an appearance. Or Beth Copeland, because, we can't use names. Hangman Page versus Protostar Kyle Fletcher. Yay for Brock Lesnar beating John Cena at WrestlePalooza. So that's Sal's thoughts. Agree?
Yeah, I can't disagree. My pal Chris Hodnott from work, he said he gave All Out a yay. And just like you mentioned, he likes CNC's entrance package with Wendell Clark, Bubbles, and the Green Bastard. And he said that Beth was a good surprise, and he's wondering if she's all elite or just a one-off. However, WrestlePalooza, he gave a boo. He said the only match that stood out was Vicaire versus Io Sky, which was a phenomenal match.
Yeah. High marks to that one. I told you this before we got started, Joe. If you watch any part of that match, watch the last part of it because it's really good. There's right. A fake out that happens in the match, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe this is something. Okay,
yeah,
awesome.
I will catch that probably later tonight. So,
Tips McGee, our good friend, says yay for start times.
You know what? That's the third pay-per-view in a row that he's actually yay to start time.
Well, yeah, and why not? There was feedback from the media call afterwards that Tony's considering actually starting all AEW shows early. Which
that's all right.
I'd be all for.
I'm all over that.
Friggin' hours. All right, this one I want to read from Zach Brown because he was there. Okay,
nice.
He says, I attended All Out Live. Overall event was a yay to me. This was my fourth AEW live experience and second pay-per-view. I continue to enjoy the in-ring aspects of an in-person event. Having the tag match kick it off was great. The event itself felt quick and fast-paced without rushing anything, despite being 5 hours. He goes on to say things like a few of the matches felt like TV main events that could have been cut down for overall time. Yeah, you know what? I'll agree with you there. A lot of these matches, while great, too long. Mm-hmm. Not every match needs to be a 20 to 25 minute opus.
Heck, I even thought that the Page Fletch, like the main event for All Out was a little too long. That could have been like 10 minutes shorter.
I don't know if you saw this, Joe, but they turned Jack Perry back into Jungle Boy, and
yes,
Luchasaurus is back now too, which I'm all for because maybe they'll finally sell out the rest of those Jurassic Express action figures.
That was the name. I couldn't remember the name of the tag team when I was watching this going, was it Dino Express?
Yeah,
was
Jurassic
it Jungle
Express.
Boy? Thank you.
I had the box set, and then I had another box set, and I sold the other box set, and it got to the point I couldn't give the damn thing away. So it was.
So now you got to get the new box set?
No. I'm not. Oh, interesting news in AEW too on action figures. We'll talk about that in a second. But back to Zach's point here. He says, one of the downside of AEW live events continues to be their lackluster merchandise. Not sure if this will be addressed in Canada. The in-house audio is also less than ideal. Okay, well. Again, that's little things they have to work on, but the merch game has always been a struggle for them. And I'm guessing right now with tariffs and duty and everything else, it might even be more. Although
probably,
apparently it's cheaper to bring stuff in again. I don't know. I haven't tried the States in a while.
So one of our pals, Andy Evans, he said boo for both. I said that WWE produced a lackluster and unimaginative show. And he was like, what happened to these surprises that Triple H referenced? Although I get that.
Stephanie McMahon and Undertaker.
Okay, you stop that.
What? That's legitimately, okay, not even joking. That was legitimately the surprise he must have had in mind. That has to be. What else would he say?
No, you're right. Anyways. Okay. Andy says about All Out, only highlight was Beth Phoenix debut, and even that wasn't amazing. I don't know. Andy, I think you're being a little too harsh here, man. You need to say to yourself, lighten up and enjoy wrestling. Celebrate wrestling.
We're going to give Andy his own channel called Denigrate Wrestling at one point. And it'll be
Love you, Andy.
You're all right. Anyway. Robbie Kemp, who's a great contributor, he says, WrestlePalooza gets a mega rare boo from me. It wasn't bad, wasn't good, just there and boring. I find boredom worse than it being bad.
Oof.
Ouch.
I got to do the Matthew Smith one. He said boo because Shane should have been inducted into the Hall of Fame before Stephanie. Shane, Matthew, 100%. I'm with you.
And a last one here from our friend Blaine. Blaine, as usual, writes a great review on, writes great previews actually on the Celebrate Wrestling Facebook page, but gives up a all out a yay, but with a very small Y. Okay, it's not a partial, so I'll give it to you. Okay. Lived up to my expectations, but did not exceed them, and did not live up to the standards set by the last two events. The main event was good, but it wasn't the career-making performance for Kyle I'd hoped. I thought it would be to him what WrestleMania 13 was to Stone Cold, but it turned out to be just another match. Everything else was pretty well how I expected it to be. Okay, I have a thought on this, because I did pre-read that comment before I said it here. It wasn't what WrestleMania 13 was to Stone Cold, because Adam Page is not what Bret Hart was at the time versus Stone Cold at the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bret Hart, anchor of the company, pinnacle guy, babyface upon babyfaces, and then he turns. Okay? So I get what you're saying, but I don't see that being the moment for Kyle Fletcher yet, because that wasn't the opponent for Kyle Fletcher. Big debate was going on this week about if Seth Rollins is the money guy or the guy that works with the money guy. And I think that Adam Page is still the guy that works with the money guys.
Yeah, you know what? And again, I'm a fan of Adam Page, but to try to compare like Page Fletcher to WrestleMania 13, Bret versus Stone Cold, you can't. I mean, Again, with all due respect to Adam Page, like, he is not Bret Hart. And
not even the guy. He's not the guy in AEW right now. And
let's face it, Kyle Fletcher is not Stone Cold of that era either. Like he's got potential. I'm not saying he's bad. He's got potential, but he didn't have that same momentum that Stone Cold had going into WrestleMania 13. And again, let's face it, like Bret Hart, this guy's a master psychologist, man. He would have known how to do it. Hangman Page, he's not quite there yet. Again, that's with much love and respect, of course.
To finish up Blaine's comment here, because he also comments on WrestlePalooza, he says, I got to call it as I see it. It's a boo from me. The spectacle is prioritized over the quality, and it didn't have a pay-per-view feel to it. It just felt like one of those Saudi shows or a Saturday night's main event, almost like a house show. Women's match was really good. I was thoroughly entertained by the mixed tag, but 2 out of 5 is still a failing grade. I was particularly unimpressed by the men's tag match. It didn't seem to have any chemistry and was botchy from the opening bell. This is the second time the Usos have teamed together on a major event, and it has tanked. That's my adding that last line there, because if you remember, last time they teamed up was at WrestleMania, and it did not go well.
No.
So we are just about out of time for this segment here, but thank you for all your feedback. You can keep it coming on the Celebrate Wrestling Facebook page, Yay Boo on WrestlePalooza, or All Out, or both. We're back with more McGuire on Wrestling in just a moment.
This is McGuire on Wrestling.
Legends and Champions is your weekly fix to go old school, looking at the classic world of professional wrestling. From Hulk Hogan to the Hitman Bret Hart to the Icon Sting to the total package Lex Luger, we have it all each and every week on Legends and Champions, part of the Celebrate Wrestling Network, and it's available on a Wednesday with me, Andy Evans. See you there.
Welcome back to McGuire on Wrestling.
Final segment of the show. Joe Aguinaldo been hanging out with us all episode. Look at this. We did a whole show together.
That's kind of scary. I didn't think it was that long. And then all of a sudden we're here.
That's what AEW fans were saying it all out this weekend. Didn't realize it was that long. Boy, if I had a nickel. Anyway, They I got nothing. I'm not editing any of this either. We're just gonna let it roll because
Lord.
Why not? It's been a very busy week in wrestling. I almost find myself asking this week as we go into Raw and Dynamite and everything else, where do we go from here? I always feel this way after every major double, triple booked weekend, right? Like, where are we going to go from here? Where are the fans coming from that are selling out these record crowds and making all this money and everything? And where is the interest laying for anybody out there? Now, Joe, we've been talking to you as the lapsed fan for a while. However, there was an interesting thing that happened during the WrestelPalooza post show, and that was a squaring off of Seth Rollins confronting Cody Rhodes. Now, everybody's getting all excited about this, going, ooh, unification. No, this is going to be Crown Jewel, because that's coming up.
Yeah.
Right? So let's all just calm ourselves down for a second here. If it doesn't happen in Perth, then it's going to happen somewhere, but that's where it's going to happen. They're holding their belts up in front of each other. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? Likely nothing soon.
No, not at all.
Or are we looking at War Games? I don't know.
No. I don't know. Like, just to come back to your, the Seth Cody thing. I mean, again, it'll probably be a good match, but do I really care? Like, we've seen it before, right?
Well, again, humble brag, I was at the Hell in a Cell match.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Right?
Yes,
and
you were.
Dave and I broke that story. It's going to be my, that's my Al Bundy 4 touchdowns in a single game story when it comes to wrestling coverage. Dave and I broke that story together. Well, more Dave than me, but still. Anyway, the bottom line is that we need a fresh face in WWE, I feel. AJ Lee is great for the women's side of things. I think Becky Lynch has finally sunk into this heel role, and she's doing a really great job with it.
Yeah, she's got her mojo back. Like,
Yeah.
she's, I think she's starting to fire on all cylinders. But, like, it's funny you say that, because to your point, like, if you look at just sort of the whole WWE thing, it's all the same people right now. And, like, a lot of it, and again, they're all talented. They're all great in their own way, but they're also, like, just very there. Cody versus Drew. It's a fine match. It's a fine matchup, but whatever. Like, I think you need something new, which is why, I think the Stephanie McMahon thing, I think that's interesting because that's a new face. You know what I mean? In the situation, in that the women's sort of situation, but everything else just feels kind of turnkey right now.
Well, it's interesting to me too that in that women's championship division now, you've got Becky on the Intercontinental side of things.
Yep.
But you've got Io Sky and Stephanie McMahon. Rhea, of course, we're waiting for to come back into the fold.
Bailey's always something to be,
multiple personality Bailey. Yeah. And I'm digging that too, to be honest with you. I'm so glad they're finally giving her something different to do.
Yeah.
I kind of can't wait for the old I'm a hugger thing to come back out and
just something, right? Like, but again, it comes back to what we were just talking about. Like, everyone just kind of seems to be in like this sort of, this holding pattern. We need something. We need something fresh.
Yeah, and that's why, and I'll say the same thing on AEW, and I still think that the mismatch right now is not having Mark Briscoe in a higher role, but maybe that's what they're doing now.
Hopefully.
Who knows what'll happen in the future here. I want to ask you this, and again, you haven't been watching as much stuff lately, and that's okay, but did you see any highlights or any clips from the NXT homecoming that happened this past week?
I mean, I saw like some of the highlights on YouTube, but there wasn't anything, it was just, it seemed to be just a big nostalgia show. That's what it felt like.
It was, and it was interesting because this is the first time I can honestly say in a while that the nostalgia probably outdid the wrestling.
Actually, you know what?
On an NXT show.
It's funny you mentioned that because when they were sort of showing, like when I was seeing the pictures of say Rhea and Charlotte and Alexa and all these people that were coming back, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, who is there right now that might get to that level? And I was having a really hard time trying to figure somebody out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the closest person, would have been like a Braun Breaker from, last year or 2 years ago, whenever he was in NXT. But like, man, like I'm looking at the NXT talent right now going, yeah, like there's some really talented people, not knocking that, but it's like, who's going to get to that level? And I don't see anything yet.
Well, I'm not even saying so much the level of the talent, because we always think that about everybody in NXT. And then all of a sudden, 5 years later, somebody breaks through and destroys, right?
Right.
But what I felt overall was that even just like the matches were there. We now have this NXT TNA title match that's being lined up. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's a work. Dave's not here this week, so I couldn't ask him. But, Tommy Dreamer went on this big thing on Busted Open saying that, TNA didn't even know about the match happening and all these other things. There's further suspicion now that WWE is actually in more control of TNA and all this other stuff. So I'm not sure what the line is between, storyline and truth here.
Yeah.
But even that kind of felt a little flat to me. Is just, I got more excited seeing William Regal say War Games than I did for half the stuff there. Or Finn Balor coming out to his old entrance.
Yeah, like that was cool.
And not saying a word, just pointing the guns at poor Alexis King, Brian Pillman Jr. there, and having the sneak attack. It was fun stuff.
Yeah,
and I think that's good once in a while. The only other time I remember them doing anything close to this was when they launched on the CW and they went against AEW, right?
Yep.
And they had the Undertaker, and even then, like people that weren't associated with NXT at all the time.
No, not at all.
So, no, that's not the one. Is that the one that John Cena showed up on? I don't.
Yeah, it was. I think it was actually. Yeah. Because they pulled out all the big guns for that one.
Yeah. John Cena was there, and they resurrected Andre the Giant, and they might as well have. I mean, it was just so much show.
Oh Lord,
I don't know. They brought Jason Sensation back. Shout out to Jason Sensation. Why not? But yeah, I think there's room still for NXT to redevelop a bit here. I think they're going to be facing some challenges like that for a while, just because obviously when they do a homecoming show like that, and Bobby Roode gets robbed, doesn't even get a full entrance.
Oh, I know. I felt so bad about that.
And then they didn't have the audio up for a segment from the crowd, so it sounded like nobody was cheering him. It was a pre-tape, guys. Settle down.
Yeah.
One of these idiot bot sites that went out there, they're like, oh, Bobby Roode was so embarrassed and disappointed because the crowd didn't cheer him for his return. They didn't have the audio up. It was clear, and it's clear it was a pre-tape because Joe Hendry all of a sudden had to come out in slow motion so they could time the hand claps to his music when it played. Like, guys, not everything is worth ragging on.
No, not at all.
And this is what bugs me about it. And it's funny, I'm ragging on people that rag on things, but this is what I find the most exhausting about talking about wrestling every week, because I know that there's going to be people that just aren't happy with anything. And then there's these bots that create things that don't even exist. And this AI slop that gets out there every day. Like somebody, you remember it was in our one of our posts, actually, our buddy Bob Hunt commented something about, I find that I need to remember the name of this page is Celebrate Wrestling. Guys, Celebrate Wrestling doesn't mean you have to love everything you see every week.
No, but also don't hate on everything that you see either.
That's it.
Like, here's the thing. You know this, Mike. There are things that I can't stand. CM Punk. But at the same time, all joking aside, I don't like everything, but I'm not going to knock everything. And I'm not going to knock if, like, you're a CM Punk fan and I'm not, or I'm a Hangman Page fan and you're not. Like this is supposed to be fun, everybody. It's supposed to be entertaining, and it's supposed to make you forget about your reality for a couple hours, even if it's like a long ass 5-hour pay-per-view.
There's enough people arguing about enough stuff that don't get me wrong. Healthy disagreement is fine, but out arguing, if you're gonna do that, pound sand. We don't got time for it. I will say this though, and this will be probably the most negative thing I can say about CM Punk ever. for me, because again, I am a CM Punk guy. I don't need the skipping. I don't need him skipping.
You know what, though? I think that's hilarious. I actually like that.
So they win the match at WrestelPalooza, and instead of a victory lap, Punk is skipping.
Well, that was funny.
I get it. She's your wife. It's her gimmick. She got the submission. You're happy, but you're CM Punk. You're I have her logo on yourself. The AJ's husband jacket was hilarious. All this good, great stuff. Don't need the skipping.
I like the skipping. I was all right with the skipping.
See? Look at that. Joe actually enjoyed something from CM Punk that I didn't. Anything is possible in the world of being a pro wrestling fan. We are out of time. This has been a very fun, very different edition of McGuire on Wrestling. I hope you enjoyed it out there. Please consider supporting the show on our pages, CelebrateWrestling.com. Joe, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be a part of this week's show. I think that we should do this more often when there's these like heavily booked weekends, and just ditch the format a bit and just, frankly, get to have the fun that Mitch and Dimitri and Andy and Stephanie get to do. I never get to just sit here and just chat. It's always stuff, but...
Yeah, well, one of us has to be the adult in the room. But no, Mike, thanks for having me on. It's always fun to talk to you about wrestling, even though I don't really watch as much of it as I used to. But
why the hell do I have to be the adult?
Any time, man.
Oh, before we go, one last thing you and I have to do in unison together. I'm going to set the sounding so we can do this properly. It is Dan Lavransky's birthday, the day we are producing this show. So, Joe, we have to, on the count of 3, do it together, and that is do the Dan Lavransky sign-off. 1, 2, 3. Brother!
McGuire on Wrestling, part of the Celebrate Wrestling Podcast Network. Online and on the radio. Listen to the show Mondays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time at CKXU.com, wherever you get your podcasts, and at CelebrateWrestling.com.